Hello everyone, with your CIGTV News Brief, Community News and Weather Forecast, I'm Donna Bush. In a ceremony marking the end of Phase 1 of its redevelopment, the Department of Vehicle and Equipment Services officially opened its new administration building back in mid-December. The 8,734 square foot two-story building will integrate employees, stores and management fleet services. The government within the next year will facilitate the completion of Phase 2 of the plan, and this will include upgrades to the east and west garage structures and the covering canopy linking both buildings. Now, Deputy Chief Officer from the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure, Tamara Ebanks, talks about the momentous occasion.
From this new space, they will be able to provide their employees and also clients with a better overall environment to get work done in an efficient and effective manner. So I'm extremely happy for the Director, Stephen Quinlan, and the entire team.
Minister the Honourable Joseph Hugh also had this to add during his remarks.
It is the only facility across our islands which service every aspect of our vehicle and equipment needs. From a small weed whacker to a 40-ton truck, to a 70-ton car crusher and compaction equipment at the landfill. So it is truly remarkable, given the government's 1,000 plus vehicles and equipment, that it is all managed by this relatively small department and often forgotten technical team. Ladies and gentlemen, I must pause to commend the management and staff of DVES for having the national energy policy as an important part of the strategic goal for their 2020-2021 budget.
Well, attendees, including Deputy Governor Franz Manderson, were given a tour of the new facility. Well, this information from the Department of Environment. A press release notes that from time to time, coastal areas around the world will report much higher than normal tidal surges, known as peregrine spring tides or king tides, caused by several factors, including the proximity and alignment of the sun and the moon to the earth. In 2020, king tides are expected to occur in the Cayman Islands during mid-January and again in early to mid-February, coinciding with the full moons for these two first months of 2020. Scientists at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, are able to predict these king tides each year, and they're not normally considered cause for alarm. However, given our low-lying topography and rising sea levels associated with global climate change, the Department of Environment says it's keen to begin to better understand potential impacts resulting from these events, depending on the location of the sun and moon relative to the earth at the time. Tides may rise just a few inches to a couple of feet above normal. Well, residents in all three Cayman Islands may notice higher tides during January and February of this year, as I mentioned earlier. If they do, the DOE is asking them to document these occurrences by taking photographs and sending the pictures to the DOE. Having better annual records of these high tide events, they say, can help us to understand what a future sea level rise might look like, and in making preparations for such an event, said Minister of Environment, the Honourable Dwayne Seymour. He said, I would encourage Cayman residents to participate and help us to document these events so we can learn from them. Now, anyone with photos and information of king tide events may send that information to this email address, doe@gov.ky, or you can give them a call to report it at 949-8469. That's 949-8469. Meantime, the Cayman Islands National Weather Service reports that 9.08 inches of rainfall, below the 30-year average of 56.20 inches of rainfall, fell in the Cayman Islands in 2019. January 2019 saw the wettest January on record, whilst in February, the most rainfall fell in that month since 2008. In March, rainfall was around an inch below the 30-year average, while in April it was just 1.27 above the normal 30-year average. The month of May had the highest rainfall since 2012 with an inch above the average, and in June the average was slightly above the 30-year average for that month. Now, with just over 6 inches of rainfall there falling in June. The following 6-month period from July through to December 2019, the rainfall average was below the annual 30-year average by almost 10 inches of rainfall. Now for a check on other community stories making Radio Cayman headlines this Tuesday. The Cayman Islands Agricultural Society will hold the annual agriculture show under the theme Agriculture for Future. Supporting local agriculture is a long-term solution. It happens on February 26th and organizers are already well into preparations for the February event. We're trying to ask people to continue to support our local farmers because this is a gateway for farmers to showcase what we actually produce on the island, says President of the Agricultural Society, George Smith, who added that more suppliers will be featured this year. Mr. Smith also encourages the community to get there early if they're looking to make some plant purchases. And of course, you can check out the Radio Cayman website, radiocayman.gov.ky, for more on that story and other community news. Turning now to today's weather forecast from the Cayman Islands National Weather Service. Today's forecast called for moderate to fresh northeasterly winds and moderate to rough seas through today, becoming fresh to strong northeasterly as expected to continue over the next 24 hours as a ridge of high pressure builds over the southeast United States. Now the temperature today reached 84 degrees with partly cloudy skies, a 20% chance of showers were expected. Winds are from the northeast 10 to 15 knots, becoming 15 to 20 knots by evening and increasing to 20 to 25 knots overnight. Seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. A small craft advisory is in effect this evening with a small craft warning going into effect later on tonight for you boaters out there. And of course, remember you can go online to weather.gov.ky for the latest forecast, which can also be found on their Facebook page and on the Weather Radio dial 107.9 FM. Remember, you can also download the National Weather Services app, CINWS. And that's the latest from us here at CIG Television. If you missed today's news brief, you can go to the Cayman Islands Government Facebook page as well as the CIG Television YouTube channel. I'm Donna Bush, as always, thanking you for joining us, wishing you a safe and, of course, a wonderful night, and hoping you'll join us back here again tomorrow. Until then, bye-bye for now.
The Department of Environmental Health provides residential garbage collection services to an estimated 14,000 Cayman Islands households each week. You may wonder how it is that our collectors are able to adequately cover these routes given our limited resources. The answer partly depends on you. By making sure that your garbage is appropriately packaged and easily accessible to our collectors, you will aid the pickup process and ensure efficient garbage collections. Here are a few valuable tips that will steer you in the right direction. Place bagged garbage into your garbage container on the evening before your scheduled pickup day. Bags should weigh less than 40 pounds and garbage containers should have a maximum capacity of 33 gallons. Our collectors will not collect garbage bags and bins that are too heavy. Only use garbage containers constructed from sturdy materials such as metal or plastic. Your garbage container must also have a tightly fitted cover and easy to grip handles. To avoid spillage and limit access to animals, we also recommend that you store garbage bins inside an enclosure. A single garbage enclosure should have minimum dimensions of 2 feet 6 inches by 2 feet 6 inches. All enclosures should be a minimum of 6 inches from the ground. Any enclosure that is higher than 3 feet tall must have a door. Our collectors are unable to collect the garbage if the enclosure is too high. Place garbage containers or enclosures at the front or side of the property in an area that is easily accessible to the collectors. Our collectors will not pick up any items that are outside the trash container. Please remember to return garbage containers to the enclosure or its original position as soon as possible after collection has taken place.
Avoid placing the following items in your household garbage containers: construction and demolition debris, vegetative and household hazardous waste, bulk waste items, hot coals, and grease. You may bring these items to the Georgetown landfill, which is located at Seymour Drive and open from 7:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Monday to Saturdays. You can also take small quantities of garbage to the 24-hour drop-off site located at the entrance of the landfill. Always pour plenty of water on hot coals to make sure they are completely out before disposing of them inside the landfill.
The DEH provides free curbside bulk waste pickup once per year. Bulk items may include old furniture and appliances, tires, and metal items. Place bulk items out on the curbside once the DEH has announced its annual bulk waste pickup schedule. You may, however, hire DEH to pick up your bulk waste throughout the year at a cost of $75 per load. When you follow these tips, you will help to maintain the efficiency of the DEH collections program. For more information on proper waste handling or to report uncollected garbage, please give us a call at 949-6696 or send an email to dehcustomerservice@gov.ky.
Boating, fishing, and water sports in the Cayman Islands are great, but keep a cool head. Here are 7 tips for fun and safe sea outings. Number 1. Use a checklist to plan your outing. Check the weather forecast, make a float plan, and share it with someone who is remaining on land, stating where you're going, with whom, and when you're expected to return. Visit your nearest marine supply store to get your safety gear. This includes signaling mirrors, whistles, and a flare kit. It's also very important to have onboard flotation devices and life vests for each person. There are different types of vests. Some are for water sport activities such as snorkeling, and others are for going on offshore boating or on fishing trips. Number 2. These items can be lifesavers in case of an accident or bad weather. Number 3. Use a motor kill switch, especially if you're boating alone. In case of a leak or breakdown, always stay with the boat until help arrives. If you capsize, an emergency beacon or locator device can send a distress signal to inform the authorities of your location. Larger flares will indicate distress to a boat, airplane, or search and rescue officials. Number 4. In addition to sunscreen, food, and beverages, it would be smart to have a cell phone. Make sure your marine radio works. Cayman boaters use Channel 16 to communicate. Number 5. Also, don't forget your anchor and sufficient rope. Number 6. Boat operators should be familiar with the local waters and reefs, as well as the capabilities and functions of the vessels they are using. Always obey the rules of the sea and the marine environment, and have courtesy for others. Number 7. Alcohol and salt water do not mix, especially if you're the captain. Some useful contact numbers are 911. The RCIPS Marine Base is 649-7710, and the Port Authority is 949-2055. Smooth sailing, all!
The Esterly Tibbetts Highway 3-lane roundabout is ready for drivers. It's time to make sure you know how to use it. First, know which exit you need to take. Pay attention to lane arrows and signs. Make sure you use your signal to change lanes or exit the roundabout. To turn left, you always approach in the left-hand lane and indicate left. To drive straight ahead, you need to be looking out for signs and road markings indicating which lane to use. Get in one of the lanes marked with a straight-through arrow. If turning right, you must use the right-hand lane and indicate accordingly. To use the roundabout safely, remember these 3 tips. Know your exit, pick your lane, and signal to make your turn.
I'm Jody Ann Powery. I'm the Police Media Officer with the RCIPS, and I'm here to give you some crime prevention tips on how to best protect your property. The first thing that we want to discuss is our points of entries. Let's start with the front door, and then we'll move on to the windows and the back doors or sliding glass doors. The first thing to consider is the front door. This particular front door has 2 deadbolt locks. One of these deadbolt locks are properly carpentered and the other is not. When your door is properly locked, you'll hear a click at the end and the deadbolts are not able to move. If it is slightly opened, then you can push the deadbolt back without having any restrictions. I'll now proceed to show you what your lock should look like when it is properly locked. When it comes to your windows, you want to make sure that your window is locked all the way down, because even though the lock is on, if it's not all the way down, it can still be pried. The proper way to lock the window is to make sure that the window goes all the way down to the seal and then you pull across the lock. When you have a sliding glass door at home, you want to make sure that you have secondary locking devices in addition to the lock that comes with the door. One of those can be a simple piece of wood that's jamming the doorway. We want to encourage you to ensure that you don't make things easy for burglars who are looking for opportunities to break into property by leaving your property out in plain view. Some of these items are your car keys, your electronics, and your handbags. Make sure that you put these properties away when you're leaving the house or when you're going to bed. When you're going camping or if you're taking your family on a trip, you want to ensure that your property has some sign of life. This can be done by leaving a light on or putting timers on your lights. And we want to ensure that our family homes are safe. In order to do so, we encourage that people take the proper precautions by starting up neighborhood watches or encouraging family members or persons they trust to check on their properties while they're away.
Did you know that you can now apply and pay for a police clearance certificate online? Visit www.eservices.gov.ky, your one-stop shop for e-government services, and click on Apply for Police Clearance. One quick trip to the records office on Walkers Road and your certificate will be in your hands when you need it with minimal hassle. Visit www.eservices.gov.ky today for more information.
Did you know that recycling collection containers are located island-wide in Grand Cayman? The Department of Environmental Health's program is an integral part of DEH's waste management responsibility in the Cayman Islands. Start your recycling program at home today. Put your tin and aluminum cans in appropriate DEH recycling containers at all Foster supermarkets, Kirk Market, or Hurley's Grand Harbor. Help keep the Cayman Islands clean. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. For more information about recycling, go to www.deh.gov.ky.
Did you know your mailing address details on your land register must be up to date in order to receive notices on new development which may impact you? Visit Lands and Survey Department to check your mailing address is correct. Did you know that planning permission is required for an addition, alteration, or any material change to your house? The 10% rule no longer exists. Did you know you should check with the department as a planning and permit application may be required?